What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Adrian. Today, you might see we have YouTube up. We have not had YouTube up in a while. Today we are reacting to the game theory FNAF solved Golden Freddy. Now I don't know anything about. Well, I know like Golden Freddy, like his name and everything. I don't know all the lore. So let's watch this and check out the lore of Golden Freddy. Okay. Oh, hell no. Is this the crying child? Yeah, it is. Damn. And guys, sorry if I sound sick. I am.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where today's episode is perhaps the single most important that we've done on the FNAF lore in a long time. Today, my friends, our goal is to solve Golden Freddy. That's right, FNAF Reddit, I am justified in using my favorite golden boy in the thumbnail today because this episode is all about him. It's them? Which, I gotta be honest, is probably a good thing because I'm running out of ways to make old Yeller over here look interesting in a thumbnail. I mean, the dude's only got like 2 decent quality images in the entire 6-year history of this franchise. Say what you will about milking this franchise dry, we've milked that image dry. If only every other character in this franchise was as clickable. But seriously, with the recent release of Bunny Call, the 5th Fazbear Fright book, I think we have enough information now to finally put together a quasi-definitive answer on who is in that iconic golden suit, which, gotta be honest, is like the biggest mystery to me in this franchise at this point. Solving this one is like obtaining the first of 3 massive holy grails when it comes to the lore of this franchise. But in order to do it, we're gonna have to look at the games, the books, and the spin-offs, and by the end, we'll have ourselves an answer that not only fits with the established lore of both game and book, but also an answer that satisfies pretty much everything about this character. An answer that irons out all the wrinkles and frustrations that I've had when concocting past theories about this guy. Oh, and it also just picks a little bit at the scabbed over wound of a past theory, poking it just enough that it might get infected. So are you ready to have your mind blown? Are you ready to finally have the answer to this mystery that has been 6 years in the making? Well then, let's begin with the Stitch Wraith. For those of you who've missed it, the Stitch Wraith story is happening in small chunks at the end of each Fazbear Fright book. It's kind of like an MCU post-credits teaser minus the color-shifting Thanos. It's about an animatronic suit pieced together from the haunted spare parts of various toys and robots, given life through the power of human agony. Now that it's alive, the creature is wandering the city, collecting more haunted toys, and killing people with its zappy hands, sucking their bodies dry and making them cry oily black tears. And up to this point, that's pretty much all we knew about this monstrosity, leading me to conclude that the reason we're meeting this thing is to prove the existence of Remnant, and how it works via negative human emotions. Maybe send him up as the new villain for that upcoming game security breach. Or, at the very least, that's
when did this video come out?
Oh no, dear theorists. The Stitch Wraith is far more important than we could have ever imagined. In the epilogue of book number 4, Step Closer, we meet Andrew and Jake, the 2 souls who find themselves trapped inside the Stitch Wraith. And the conversation that they have when they first meet starts to give us some of the lore drops that we have been waiting years to hear. Quote from the book: "Now Jake was inside a metal thing. He didn't know enough about anything to understand what it was, but he did know that he wasn't alone. He was sharing this strange place." "Oh, hi," Jake said. "I'm Jake. Who are you?" "I'm Andrew." The child's voice was rough. He sounded a little like a boy Jake used to know in school, a boy who was always talking back to the teacher and getting himself in trouble. Jake thought Andrew sounded angry, very angry. End quote. We're told that even though both their souls are infused into the same endoskeleton, Jake is the only one able to move the Stitch Wraith's body. He's also the only one capable of seeing the outside world. Andrew is blind to it all. It's kind of like those 2-man horse costumes. You never want to wind up being the butt in those things, especially on Chipotle days. It's no wonder Andrew's so mad. I'd be too if I was forced to spend an eternity looking at someone else's soul butt. However, it's when they start talking about their former lives that things start to get really interesting. Quote again, "My memory memories are kind of fuzzy, Jake said. Fuzzy, yeah, so are mine, Andrew responded. But I do remember wanting to get back at someone who hurt me. I think I attached myself to him. I got into his soul, made sure he couldn't move on when he should have died. I remember I wanted him to suffer, the way he made me suffer. I remember they tried to kill him, but I wasn't gonna let him go until I was ready. With a story like that, you could almost say that Andrew is a spirit wanting revenge. A literal vengeful spirit, perhaps. Now, loyal FNAF theorists have an idea of where this is all going, right? Back when Ultimate Custom Night first came out, we theorized that the entire game was William Afton trapped in a fiery hexscape, a constant cycle of torture and torment at the hands of his past victims. Or should I say one victim in particular, the spirit of Golden Freddy. Sure, he was called by many names, the one you should not have killed, the vengeful spirit, but in the end, by doing the impossible of that game and beating 50-20 mode, it's revealed that Golden Freddy lingers on, twitching with rage, refusing to move on into his afterlife. And here, Andrew is pretty much confirming exactly that. Sound the party horns and the children celebrating. It looks like we got one right. Or should I say mostly right? What's interesting about this whole Jake-Andrew conversation from the book is that back with Ultimate Custom Night, we assumed that William Afton was dead and that this was just his afterlife in purgatory or HE double hockey sticks or whatever. He died in Henry's Fire, the one that was said at the end of FNAF 6, the one meant to bring the whole series to a close. I mean, how could he not be dead? Henry even had that awesome final line for him.
Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, friend.
You don't just survive one-liners like that. And yet here, Andrew says that he was actively keeping his killer alive against everyone's attempts on his life.
Oh, hell no.
So does that mean that Afton is still
keeping him alive?
No.
I always come back.
He attack, he protect, he always come back. But just because William may have been kept alive in the book lore doesn't necessarily mean that he was left alive in the game lore too. Well, it shouldn't, but I think it does. Fast forward to this month in our newest book, Bunny Call. What was originally supposed to be the fifth and final installment in the Fazbear Fright series. A literal 5 books at Freddy's. Until of course it got extended and now we have ourselves the bonus 6th and 7th night books. And while the first 2 stories in this new book are interesting and certainly worth talking about on a different day, it's the third one, The Man in Room 1280, that ties into our Golden Freddy mystery today. Stop me if you've heard this one before. It's about a mysterious man in a hospital, burned well beyond the point of death, and yet somehow he remains alive. Quote from the book. The man had no face. A hole in his skull indicated where his nose used to be. Dark, cavernous pits lacking eyes looked at nothing. A toothless mouth gaped without lips to protect it. We'd be remiss if we didn't warn you, the nurse said. We know what that is. Evil, Father Blythe. Evil. In fact, the hospital staff is so convinced that he's the embodiment of evil that they tried to kill him multiple times, via injections, via smothering, via seances, but nothing will do it. He cannot be killed, but not for the reasons that you would expect. It's not an iron will to live or the remnant that's flowing through his veins that's keeping him alive. It's a ghost. Each attempt on the patient's life is thwarted by the ghost of a boy with curly black hair wearing an alligator mask. In fact, the two seem to be intertwined with each other. The story informs us about the patient's brain patterns and they're a bit unusual.
Let's go back.
Quote, according to the hospi's sleep expert, that particular two seem to be intertwined with...
Now this dude just got me curious of who this is. I barely watch any of the game theories on FNAF, so I don't know crap. So I probably missed this. I don't know. It's probably further in the story. I don't know. I'm just gonna continue watching it. Shut the hell up.
Each other. The story informs us about the patient's brain patterns and they're a bit unusual. Quote, according to the hospital's sleep expert, that particular REM pattern indicates nightmares. Horrific nightmares. See, there and there, the nurse pointed at one part of the brain scan. 2 signals means 2 living things, 2 entities. They're both vying for control of the brain, but they're at odds with each other. We think they're tormenting each other. Sounds a bit like Andrew, right? Andrew attached himself to the man who killed him and refuses to let him die so he can torment him, which is the exact relationship between the vengeful spirit Spirit and William Afton in the games. And if there was any doubt about who this mysterious man in the hospital is, the patient wants to go to a Fazbear distribution center, and we're told that the Stitch Wraith mystery is somehow tied to a mysterious fire involving Freddy's and the former owners of the business. Every which way to Sunday, this is our William Afton stand-in for these books. Andrew is our vengeful spirit stand-in, and it feels like the book is trying to tell us that Custom Night wasn't purgatory or heck, it was Afton's living nightmare as he was laying in a hospital bed recovering. William Afton may still be alive, or maybe he was alive and then he eventually explodes. Yeah, the story ends with William's carcass being wheeled out to the Fazbear distribution center, and then it literally blows up like a bomb. It is just as gross and gory and disgusting as you would expect it to be. Maybe it's a good thing that these books don't have pictures. My personal guess is that this is what releases the angry spirit of Andrew into lots of other toys like Fetch and Plush Trap, and it may also be how Afton's soul gets itself into a computer chip that eventually gives life to Glitch Trap. Okay, this has been a lot about Afton, and I promised that this would be a mega theory about Golden Freddy. So how does it all connect together? Well, notice how I describe Andrew's ghost, a boy with curly black hair and an alligator mask. It's the same hair as the mysterious dead body found inside Golden Freddy's suit back in Fazbear Frights number 3. Quote from that book: "Down low, past his arm, Devin could see a body, a dead body, but it wasn't exactly like he thought he'd find. This one had curly black hair." The lore of this series doesn't tend to give us a lot, but one thing it tends to keep relatively consistent is hair. So knowing that Andrew is an angry spirit with curly black hair, and that Golden Freddy has a body inside of it with curly black hair, Andrew is pretty clearly our Golden Freddy kid, which makes things related to Andrew roughly related to Cassidy back in the games. Want even more of a connection between the two of them? The name Cassidy is derived from an Irish surname meaning clever or curly-haired. Actually owe that little factoid to Redditor Shrek the First. Good find on that one. I actually would have never thought to look into the name Cassidy. So even though Andrew may not be named Cassidy in the books, he is still representing the origin of the name through his hair. Now here is why all of this matters. Follow me on this. Both Andrew in the books and Cassidy in the games are missing children's incident victims, stuffed inside of suits and angry enough to keep their killer in a purgatory state so he can be tortured. Seems like a pretty slam dunk connection there. We know that up to this point, the books have been hinting at the fact that Golden Freddy may have more than one soul inside of him. And in these stories, we see Andrew actively upset that he has to share an endoskeleton with another dead kid. So is it possible that in the games, Golden Freddy is possessed by both Cassidy and the Bite of 83 victim, Vengeful Spirit and the Crying Child, just like Andrew sharing a body with Jake in the books? After all, we know via clues in the text, as well as book number 6's description, that his endoskeleton mate Jake is a nice kid who died tragically in a hospital. We know that the Crying Child is also a nice kid who dies tragically in a hospital, even though he got bitten before, but you know. Now admittedly, that alone is a weak sauce connection, I admit it. What's not weak sauce though, is that evidence is actually out there to prove that two spirits are in Golden Freddy. So last month we proved that Foxy Bro is definitely Michael Afton. It is a huge confirmation from the series, but that came with a set of problems, specifically in the form of the security logbook. The problem is that the spirit Cassidy in the book seems to be talking to Mike about things that only apply to the Bite of 83 victim, saying things like, "The party was for you," and talking about his plastic purple telephone. It doesn't make sense if Cassidy is talking to Michael Afton. But what if Cassidy isn't talking to Mike? What if Cassidy is having a conversation with someone else, with a second spirit? The logbook doesn't just have one person in it, it has two. This was brought to my attention by a comment on YouTube from Inky, who says it's not useful reading the YouTube comments, right? Quote, "I direct you now to pages 89 and 109, where we see a spirit replying to Fated's questions through altering the text existing in the book. Therefore, we know that Fated is not talking to Mike, but talking to Mike's brother, who is also in the logbook. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk." I gotta say, that is the best TED Talk I've ever seen. It definitely beats the one about how to dry your hands using a single paper towel.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And Inky Ink isn't wrong here either. I went back to double check. One of the things the Fated text says is that the party was for you. And right there on page 89 is the answer, "It was for me." A statement and an acknowledgement of that statement. A conversation. Two spirits, one book. Two spirits, one animatronic. For years, I have been frustrated by the fact that the Crying Child, the Bite victim of 83, would have made the most sense to pass into the Golden Freddy body, but it never lined up with the fact that 5 kids died during the missing children's incident, and that one of them would have had to have gone on to possess Golden Freddy. Freddy. But now we have a solution to both of them.
That would make more sense because I played the fourth, well, not the entire fourth game. If you want me to continue that series, subscribe, little thing. But it makes sense. I've seen like Markiplier stuff. I've seen game stuff, dude. Like, it makes more sense that the crying child would possess Golden Freddy. But like, 2? I don't know, because I know William Afton killed 5 kids. In that 5th one, also like all the first 4, like I know Bonnie is possessed by like Jeremy, I think. Freddy, the rest I can't remember their names, but yeah, Golden Freddy has. I always thought he had 1 spirit, but 2, because it didn't make sense. Nothing clicked in my brain, man.
Those things. Golden Freddy can still have the bite victim in him. One that says, "It's me," when he sees his brother working as a security guard. But it can also have a second spirit in him. One who died in this horrific missing children's incident murder, and one who continues to torment Afton long after he's passed on. And the logbook isn't done. Sure, on those pages we see the responses of, "It was for me," and "I'm scared," but we also see the responses of, "I can hear sounds," and "I can't see." It, once again, is a parallel back to the Andrew and Jake situation, where one spirit can see and maneuver the body, while the other is trapped down below the surface, able to listen, but unable to do much else. This feels like the solution to Golden Freddy that we've been waiting for. The problem with him is that we've always assumed he was just one kid, one spirit who we tried to make fit into all the various details about the lore, but it never quite worked. And that's because it would never work. In reality, you always needed two entities. One, sensitive and kind, a younger brother looking for peace, and one, the victim of a brutal murder, violently eager for revenge. And here's the real twist, my friends, that might not be all. There's one last small detail in the Stitch Raid's story that we have to keep an eye on. We learn in that story that Jake and Andrew aren't intentionally murdering people, that when they reach out to touch someone, they accidentally zap them. Jake assumes it's Andrew doing it, but he's wrong. Final quote from the book. "I just want to scare people, okay? The zap is killing them." Well, that wasn't what I wanted. So if what you're doing isn't doing what you want, maybe it's doing something someone else wants. Maybe something else is here with us. You were a hitchhiker on the man who killed you. Why can't someone else hitchhike with us? So it looks like there might be more souls involved when it comes to Golden Freddy, but that's a story for another day. And with that, my friends, it's the last book until next year. There's definitely a few stories I haven't talked about that merit another video or two, but for now, Fazbear Frights and all its numerous lore reveals have come to an end, which I gotta say I'm kinda sad about. These have been a great way to engage with the mysteries of the franchise with the slow drip coming out over the course of this year, like a book every other month. It's been a really cool release strategy. And honestly, some of these stories are the creepiest things produced by this franchise in a long time. Anyway, I guess the only thing left at this point is crossing our fingers for that new game to come out soon. Now? Alright, Scott, don't you release another game on us or anything. No? Oh, that used to work. Oh well, probably better to wait anyway. Halloween is just around the corner, and there's not a whole lot of other ways we're gonna be able to celebrate it this year. But hey, if you haven't checked out these books yet, but are a fan of the series, then check them out using our sponsor for today's episode, Audible. It's one thing to read these stories, it's another...
Okay, I'm not going to add shit. Okay. Well, when will this video come out? September 12th, 2020. Okay. Well, I'm not watching any more of that, but guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It makes a little bit more sense because, like, I always knew that the crying child was possessing Golden Freddy, but he always seemed way more different. You know what I mean? So I was like, and then I did hear he was possessed by 2 animatronics, but I never really thought about it that much. Yeah, I usually never think of Golden Freddy at all. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button for more reaction videos like this one. I don't do as many as I did a while ago. I did 2 weeks ago. I'm still going to be doing reaction videos. I'm still going to be gaming videos. Not reaction videos all the time. But I will maybe watch a lot of game theory episodes. But see you guys in the next one. Peace.